Hey there, welcome to Deep Talk Easy, the place where we break down complex ideas and make them simple. If you enjoy deep topics explained in a calm and clear way, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next video. And if you're new here, check out our other videos after this one. You'll definitely find something that blows your mind. All right, let's get started. Today we're talking about why a new world war seems inevitable. Earlier, I covered Lenin's idea of imperialism as the final stage of capitalism, a classic left-wing explanation for why wars happen. Many people thought I was presenting my own view, but that's not the case. When I discuss different theories, I try to stay neutral and objective. What I explain is not necessarily what I personally believe, it's how the author themselves would likely present their ideas. And whenever I do agree with someone, I always say it directly. This time I do. Today's topic is based on Ray Dalio's book, Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order, published in 2022, one of the most profound works on global economic and historical cycles in recent years. Dalio isn't just a successful investor. He's someone who studied history, economics, and human behavior deeply. The result is an incredibly consistent and convincing theory. And I have to admit, I fully share his point of view, not only because it makes sense, but because I've been thinking in the same direction for years. I even have old notes on my computer that describe almost the same ideas, just in a much rougher form. Now that his book exists, I'm not sure I'll ever finish mine. He already said everything I wanted to say and did it brilliantly. The key idea is that history moves in cycles. Everything repeats, the same stages, only with new people, new technologies, and new circumstances. There are two kinds of order, internal and world order. The internal order is the system of rules inside a country. Constitutions, laws, moral and cultural norms. The world order is the system of rules between countries, international agreements, alliances, and trade systems. Both kinds of order eventually collapse and are replaced, and that change always happens through war. When an internal order collapses, we get a civil war or revolution. When the world order collapses, we get a major war between nations. These wars can be long and devastating, or surprisingly short and mild, but in every case they destroy the old system and establish a new one. New constitutions appear, new ideologies take over, economies reorganize, and the global balance of power shifts. If we look at history, almost every major change, whether political, social, or international, has come through conflict. Now let's look at the big cycle. A new world order always rises from a great war. The winner becomes the new global power. For a while, usually several decades, no one dares to challenge it. Everyone is exhausted and rebuilding. During this time, there's peace, prosperity, and optimism. People believe that stability will last forever. Trade expands, debt grows, businesses flourish, science and culture thrive. People start borrowing, consuming, and investing more, convinced that there will never be another war. It's a logical and natural phase of expansion. But this prosperity also plants the seeds of decline. Wealth becomes concentrated at the top. Inequality grows. The dominant power, the hegemon, starts spending more and more to maintain global control, keeping colonies, monitoring trade routes, funding its military bases, and intervening in conflicts around the world. Military spending skyrockets, the government prints money to cover expenses, and inflation rises. A financial bubble forms and eventually bursts. When the economy crashes, society polarizes. One side demands social justice and redistribution of wealth. The other defends the rich, arguing that without business owners, there would be no jobs at all. Governments respond by printing even more money, bailing out banks and companies, and handing out subsidies. Meanwhile, outside powers, the rivals, are watching. During the peaceful years, they too have grown stronger. Eventually, they start challenging the hegemon, first with rhetoric, then with real actions, trade wars, territorial disputes, and regional conflicts. Inevitably, this leads to a major war, where the fading hegemon clashes with the rising power. From that war, a new world order emerges, and the cycle begins again. Dalio identifies 8 key factors that determine a nation's strength: education, technology, competitiveness of goods, economic growth, share of world trade, military power, the strength of its financial centers, and whether its currency is used globally as a reserve currency. These factors usually rise in sequence. Good education fuels innovation, technology boosts productivity, competitive products drive trade, trade supports economic growth, and military strength protects it all. Wealth leads to advanced financial systems and, ultimately, to a global currency, the final symbol of dominance. We can clearly see this pattern in history. First came the Dutch Empire. In the 17th century, the Netherlands became the world's leading economic power. Trade, science, shipbuilding, the first stock exchange, and the famous East India Company. Now let's dig a bit deeper into how politics actually work in practice. At the heart of any political system are institutions, structures that organize power. These include things institutions create: the rules of the game, who can make laws, how leaders are chosen, and what limits exist on their power in democracies. We often talk about the separation of powers: legislative, executive, and judicial. The legislature makes laws, the executive enforces them, and the judiciary interprets them. This system is designed to prevent unioni beer and from dominating the others. But even with clear rules, politics is rarely fair simple. It involves negotiation, lobbying, compromise, and sometimes manipulation. Interest groups, corporations, and media outlets all try to shape political outcome to serve their interests. That's why understanding politics is essential, or being an informed citizen. If you don't understand how power works, someone else will say it for you. Another key part of politics is participation. Participation can take many forms: voting, joining political party, running for office, volunteering in campaigns, or engaging in civic activism. In the digital age, politics also happens online. Through social media movements, online petitions, and global conversations that can start with a single post. Still, politics isn't only about conflict. It's also about cooperation, about finding common ground in a world of different interests. Successful political systems depend on dialogue, compromise, and trust between citizens and their leader. Andius. Politics can be frustrating. It can feel slow, corrupt, or disconnected from real life. But when people stop caring about politics, those in power faceless accountability. That's when democracy weakens. Understanding politics doesn't mean memorizing names or dates. It means learning to ask questions: who benefits from this decision? Policies? What values are being prioritized? And how does this affect ordinary people? When you think critically about this questions, you stop being just a spectator. You become a participant in shaping society. Finally, politics is also about the future. It's the way we decide what kind of world we want to live in and what we are willing to build it. Climate policy, education, technology, equality, all of these depend on political decisions. So whether you love it or hate it, politics is inescapable. Because as long as humans live together, we'll always need ways to organize, argue, and decide. And that in the end, is what politics really is.